morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to today's event, hosted by the Center on Contemporary China and the World, known as the CCCW at Hong Kong U. I'm Li Chen, Director of CCCW. And I'm delighted that a delegation from Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, CAS, led by Professor Li Chunling, has come all the way to Hong Kong to join us this morning. We are here to explore a topic of profound importance: how Chinese youth are navigating the dual forces of rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape on the one hand, and the relentless evolution of technology on the other hand. These dynamics are not only reshaping industries, work ethics, and cultural norms, but also redefining what it means to be a young Chinese person in today's interconnected, yet increasingly complex world. An important assumption in youth studies in any given country is that demographic trends and the socio-economic environment in which young people grow up have profound implications for the country's future trajectory. How do young Chinese, particularly the post-2000 cohort, 00后, with their formative experience in a digital and economically well-off era, differ from prior generations in China in terms of socialization, group behavior, lifestyle, values, and worldviews? In what ways do they differ from their counterparts in Hong Kong and elsewhere, including those in the West? How does Chinese scholarship enrich our knowledge and understanding of this subject? To help answer these critical questions, we are privileged to host two of the foremost experts on youth and the digital culture. First, I'm delighted to introduce my longtime friend, Professor Li Chunling, a leading authority on generational change in China. Dr. Li served as the Chief Research Fellow at the Institute of Sociology of CAS, where he also has the Department of Youth Studies and Education Sociology. He also served in visiting positions at the institutions abroad, like Princeton, Michigan, Oxford, and Sciences Po. Her policy and her work on social stratification, especially middle class, and also education and youth issues, has shaped academic and policy debates for decades. So he's well known in both academic and policy circles in China and beyond. I had the privilege to work closely with her when I was at the Brookings, including editing her fascinating book. It's a very long book entitled China's Youth, Increasing Diversity Amid Persistent Inequality, published 2021, 4 years ago. And I'm also thrilled to share that she has recently also joined two other institutions as a distinguished professor of sociology at the Nankai University and a non-resident senior fellow at the CCCW here in Hong Kong. I'm particularly thrilled that he will be with us. I hope that you will have many trips to Hong Kong in the months and years to come. Her keynote, Emerging Youth Groups, Pioneers in Shifting Values of Workplace, will unpack how young people are redefining success, identity, and ethics in an era of intense competition and innovation. Next, we turn to Dr. Donna Zhu and Zhu Shunci, Director of the School of Journalism and Communication at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and a scholar whose work bridges media, culture, and youth engagement. Dr. Zhu is also a creative force as the founder of Mass Media, and also an author of several award-winning novels, and a producer of TV documentaries exploring identity and the technology, very fit in for our theme. Her keynote, entitled Digital Boredom, Changing Youth Media Use, will delve into how platforms like Xiaohongshu, Red Notes, and the TikTok are reshaping attention, creativity, and even apathy among China's digital natives. Following these keynotes, we will transition to a moderated Q&A with my distinguished colleague, Professor King Wai Fu Jinghua of University of Hong Kong. Professor Hu's groundbreaking research on China's information governance and youth media practices, including projects like Weibo Scope and WeChat Scope, offers critical perspectives on digital citizenship and resistance. We are also honored to have many distinguished people. I'm sorry that I cannot identify all of them, but I just want to single out one person, Professor Lü Dare, an internationally well-known scholar, and he is the former, I think the president, right, at the Education University, and internationally renowned sociologist from the Education University of Hong Kong. And we hope to hear his valuable insights during our discussions. Now, after a short 5-minute break, we will reconvene for a panel discussion moderated by another distinguished colleague of mine, Professor Tian Xiaoli. Is not here yet, right? Oh, it's here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you here. Yeah. Associate Professor of Sociology at Hong Kong U. A scholar of online interactions and cultural norms, Professor Tian's work on everything from social media dynamics to traditional Chinese medicine illuminates how youth adapt to and subvert the structures shaping their lives. He will be joined by a group of young but already accomplished scholars. She will introduce them later on, from Bilibili and other colleagues from CAS, with whom she will explore the practical, ethical, and the cultural dimensions of youth agency in this transformative era. Now, before we begin, a quick note. This event is on the record, and although it will not be a live stream, we encourage you to take photos and share insights, but please refrain from recording audio or video because we wanted to produce soon after that event. With that, let's dive into today's conversation. And Dr. Li Chunling, the floor is yours. Please. Thank you. Please. Do you want this? You probably. Yeah, we have also the other choice, which you hope this is. Yeah. Okay.
It's okay? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Li Chen, invite my colleagues and I visit CCCW and organize this workshop for us to discuss Chinese youth in digital transformation era. The topic I would like to talk is about a special group of Chinese youth. The name is Emerging Youth Group. This group has been emerging in recent years with the rise of the digital age. How to change the slides? Oh, this, okay, thank you, yeah. In recent years, the Chinese government has vigorously advanced Internet Plus initiative and the big data strategy, accelerating the development of digital industrialization and driving digital transformation of economy and society. as digital technologies increasingly permeate production and consumption domains, new economies, along with the platform economy, have experienced rapid growth. In new economies, flexible employment and working arrangements, as well as concurrent job holding, have become increasingly prevalent. According to National Bureau of Statistics, China's flexible employees reached about 200 million by 2021. So the young people has been the primary participants and the drivers of new economies and the new employment models. An increasing number of youth are flocking to new economies through flexible employment, engaging work innovation, career innovation, and employment innovation. This has given rise to rapidly growing emerging youth group. The term emerging youth group was first proposed by Professor Xi Jinping. This group has attracted great attention from the authorities. As required by the President Xi Jinping, the 团中央, Committee of Central Committee of Communist Youth League has established a new department named Social Liaison Department, 社会联络部, which is responsible for providing services for this group. This department particularly pay attention to 12 categories among emerging youth group. I list these 12 categories, such as online writers, self-media content creators, freelance actors, film directors, musicians, artists, and the cultural creative industry workers, street performers, and dancers, intangible cultural heritage inheritors, delivery workers, ride-hailing drivers, and so on. Why it is termed as emerging youth group? Because this group exists some 3 new characteristics in their working and employment. First new is new employment patterns. The emerging youth work in decentralized, platform-driven employment enabled by internet technologies, catering to diverse knowledge creation and individualized consumer needs. Second new is a new labor relations, a new form of labor relations marked by de-employerized, self-directed, individualized, flexible, and sometimes part-time multi-job engagements driven by new economies. Third new is the new work values, a paradigm of work ethics, prioritizing passion, autonomy, creativity, diversity, and self-fulfillment driven by changing values of digital age. We have a group of researchers. We conducted a questionnaire survey and also case studies in Beijing to learn about this group. we found there are three major parts of emergent youth group. First part we called internet savvy culture youth, 网络文化青年, a group of young people who engage in culture content creation and provide online cultural services through internet platforms. Second part, we call them freelance cultural artistic youth, 独立文艺青年, a group of young people active in offline cultural spheres, operating independently from traditional cultural artistic institutions to engage in cultural artistic creation and services. Third part, we call them new service model youth, 生活新业态青年, a group of young people concentrated in emergent service models within the lifestyle service industry to provide specialized lifestyle services. We can utilize a coordinator system to map the emergent youth within specific sectors and conceptualized their social position. Now, y-axis separates the culture sector to the different life service sector. The x-axis separate the online life service and from the offline life service by their work channels. So these coordinators forms 4 spatial domain. The first domain is the online culture domain. The internet savvy culture youth located there. And then the offline culture domain, the freelance culture artistic youth stay here. And then the online life service domain, the digital blue collar workers stay here. And then the offline life service domain as new service workers stay here. So I list examples, some special occupations, jobs the young people, emergent young people hold down. And according our survey shows that there are about 1.5 million of emergent youth in Beijing, and about 30 to 40 million nationwide. So that is it's a huge group, large members of emergent youth. Our research also showed that this group, the members of this group have special new values, new orientations in values of working and employment. First is individualized and autonomous working patterns. Emerging youth don't like the traditional work patterns, such like fixed time work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working patterns. They don't like. They also don't like strict management system. They choose the freelancing jobs and the flexible employment so that they can make decision by themselves what to do and when to do it. They like to get real-time feedback by the work. Some of them have a slash occupation alongside their primary occupation. These people were named by the media as 斜杠青年 /youth. That means a person engaging different occupation at the same time. For example, very famous internet writers, 当年明月. He also a government office, government workers. Another example is my colleague Li Chuang. He's there, and we're one of the speakers next part of the workshop. He is a sociologist, my colleague. He also a skateboarder and circus performers. Yeah, that is called then it's a 斜杠青年. Second orientation they hold is interest-driven professional trajectories. Hobbies and interests are the main motivation for many emerging youth to choose their jobs and occupation. Traditional work values view job work as the means of livelihood, with the income and the stability are the most important criteria for a good job. However, emerging youth, it's different. Happy and fun, as well as individualized interests, have become the more important criteria for the career choice. Our survey showed that about 80% of emerging youth in Beijing express highly interest their work. About 38% of them choose their job and occupation solely based on their hobbies or interests. As a result, their job satisfaction is quite high. About 74% of emerging youth express satisfaction with their current job. The third orientation is blurring of the work-life boundaries. Many emerging youth choose the new occupation based on their hobbies, interests in daily life. Sometimes they develop their hobbies in daily life into the occupation they engage in. So in this way, they bring the joy of their life into the work field, getting happy in workplace. So the work and the life often blend together, and the boundaries between two are increasingly blurred. The work style and the lifestyle are mutually compatible. The fourth orientation is frequent job changes. Emerging the new occupation often lack stability and have variability, making emerging youth frequently moving between different jobs, different occupation, the industry, and the regions. Flexible employment also make it easy for them to constantly change jobs and occupation. High mobility careers have become a normal situation for many emerging youth. Now, finally, is lifelong learning and occupation innovation. Now, working in new economies and engaging new occupations have been required to constantly update their knowledge and skills, constantly seek innovation and change. So therefore, the lifelong continuous learning and innovation has become essential traits for emerging youth. So these new values exhibited by emerging youth represent directions of value changes in digital age. Emerging youth have become pioneers in shifting values of workplace. Then summary, digital technology is transforming the way we live and work, with young people being the most profoundly impacted. Emerging youth group is at the forefront of this transformation. As the active participants and the drivers of the new economy, new employment forms, and the new working patterns, emerging youth group is pioneering transformative shifting in the work values. Thanks for your attention. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, this is Donna from the School of Journalism and Communication at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So thank you very much for your invitation. I feel very happy today to be back to Hong Kong U because when I was a slasher many years ago, yes, I was the emerging youth some decades ago. And then I did my PhD here in the Faculty of Education in the University of Hong Kong here. So I feel very happy to be back here today to share with you what I have been thinking about for quite a while in the past few years. And mainly today I want to share, yes, I want to share a paradox or a predicament or a dilemma, whatever we call it, of faced by the youth, because this is a particularly meaningful topic here because this is the place where I started my concerns and research about youth culture. And I always believe that education really matters. So back to the time when I first started my PhD research, I was interested in the idea of media literacy. And since then, we've all seen a proliferation of literacies. You know, as times change, we think that, oh, we need to enhance also media and information literacy and then digital literacy. And recently, people think that, oh, we've got so many AI tools, so we need to have AI literacy. And while I totally agree with these concerns, I'm also always wondering if we really want to help young people to acquire or to master certain skill sets in order to survive in this changing age, or age when transformation is the key theme all the time. Do we really need to know what and how young people use the media or use these digital technologies in the first place? So one of my research projects is to continue to update my understanding about the youth media use throughout the years. So since 2012, I have been doing focus group interviews with different youth groups, and I couldn't do it all the time. So I have done it in 2012, 2017, 2022, and then this year I'm currently working on another new project, which is also concerned about youth media use. To give you a quick overview, in 2012, when I went out to interview different youth groups, my interest was, as a old person compared to them, I have been interested in asking how they differentiate between old media and new media. And I was really eager to find out how young people use new media. But the truth is, when we use the term new media, it just shows that we are, a bit outdated. But for the young people in 2012, they never really mentioned new media or old media because they didn't really have this distinction in their mind. Instead, they would keep using the words useful. So they use whatever tools that come handily for them, and they just use them. They don't really differentiate whether, this is, it belongs to the old generations, I'm not using it. And so in this year, when I talked to different young people, especially young girls, because at that time I was also working on a project about media and gender, I realized that they still could mention a lot of television dramas or pop icons or people who were really popular, and I still shared a lot of mutual knowledge with them. But by the time in 2017, things changed totally. People I interviewed, they didn't really watch any TV dramas. The TV dramas broadcast on the channels, and they watch a lot of YouTubes. We could all imagine that. But then one keyword came popping up. It was the desire not to participate, which I found really puzzling because where as soon as we enter the digital age, we all believe that, we are going to have a lot of participation because participation is kind of default. And participation is considered to be desirable and something good. But in these interviews, young people told me that they were very afraid or they were very worried if they participated actively on the social media because they were afraid that they would say something that other people do not agree, and so they will antagonize some other people. So I could already sense a strong sense of self-censorship back in 2017 because they didn't want to get into troubles through discussions in the social media. But then a few years ago in 2022, during the COVID time, I have done another round. This time I have done 10 groups of young students. They were in high schools between 13 years old to 18 years old. And many of them told me that they were very bored because of the COVID, but then they also felt stuck because of the digital media environment. And my current project is about self-care, which we don't have time to cover today, but this is just for you to have an idea. And so back to the idea of participation and boredom, I think we have to have some quick review. In 2004, there was a very famous quote by a man called Tim O'Reilly, and he is called the prophet of the Silicon Valley, something like this, because he always made predictions about the future. In 2004, he said that when we entered Web 2.0, we are going to witness an architecture of participation. So imagine if internet is a building, this building is made up of participation. So during these first 10 years also, especially during the time when Facebook, YouTube, or other social media becomes hugely popular, we all believe that participation is something that is good and is taken for granted, and everybody will just participate in this media culture. But in my own research in the past 12 or 10 years, I realized that instead of architecture of participation, we have actually missed two keywords. I think we are having an architecture of passive and mundane participation by most young people. And for your information, my research have always been focused in the Hong Kong society, but I'm quite confident that it is quite common across different developed societies. And for this passive and mundane participation, I mean that people are, of course, visiting different social media platforms all the time. But most young people do not want to actively participate, as they don't want to speak up, they don't really create a lot of content. And then for most people, this is something really ordinary, really mundane. So this is something we have to do every day to go check out what's happening in the social media. And here, of course, we are all familiar with this digital environment in which techno stress is really a key theme. By techno stress, we are having an overabundance of possible choices. So we have many, many different information, content, entertainment, and we found it really easy to switch between different platforms. So when you are on Red Note, maybe you get notifications from WeChat or WhatsApp, so you have to change. So you keep switching. And in this environment, our attention is always the target. People want to exploit our attention so to have economic gains. And because of the media convergence, and so everything happens at the same time in the same platforms. And the problem is these conditions persist, and it is like going on and on and on without stopping. And in this context, if I ask you, are you bored? I'm not asking if you are bored now. I hope you are not. But then if we are asking young people, are you bored? It seems to be an irrelevant question. Because in this digital environment, if we have so many choices, if we can just change platforms over, just plus, and we can just jump to another platform, would anybody be bored again? I don't want to, I don't need you to answer me right away, but you can check with here whether you feel bored still, even in this digital environment. And of course, boredom is an important topic, which I'm sure many psychologists and sociologists have already looked into for years. And very interestingly for me, when I entered this subject, I found it really fascinating because like when I read into psychologist literature, I realized that boredom can be a huge problem, especially if chronic boredom. So chronic boredom is you always feel bored, then it might be related to other problems like depression or delinquency or, any abnormal behavior. But the psychologists have always found that this is also okay to have state boredom because it will be passed. But when I went into sociologist literature, I realized that, boredom is so interesting. So it's not boring at all because it can inspire us about the changing social and economic and cultural conditions which shape the idea, the very concept of boredom. So for your information, for example, boredom has not been used often until 1960s. So it means that people were not really bored, or they did not use the same word to describe the state of things back, 50 years ago. And if you look from the philosophical perspective, they would tell us that, okay, boredom can be defined into a few types, like superficial boredom, like when you miss a train and then you suddenly have 30 minutes of free time. So you feel bored, but this is superficial boredom. And also there is a retrospective boredom, meaning that you don't feel bored when you are doing certain things, but then when you look back, you feel bored. And finally, there is a boredom called profound boredom. So just that you just feel bored, all the time. So I'm not going to bore you with all these literature review, but then for me, I want to make a case for this discussion here. I want to argue that now young people, maybe not only young people, but everybody, because we are also immersed into this digital environment, we are all facing digital boredom one way or the other. The good news is that in my focus group interviews, I always feel that, even young people said that they are bored, they are not chronic boredom. Because we've got many choices so that they can always do other things. And for this state, this is a state boredom, so they can find ways to address and to solve. But then the problem here is that young people, they will go to media, go to the digital media environment to solve their, when they feel bored or not engaged or uninterested, they will go to the digital media, and there are always so many choices for them. But then the problem is here, that this is the paradox. We ought know about attention economy so that our attention is considered to be very precious. But in order to get our attention, they have to distract us. So we are constantly distracted to devote our attention to different platforms. And also because of the emphasis on interactivity in social media, young people are very afraid of being, missed out, the fear of missing out. So they have to be constantly online in order not to miss out. And this is how digital boredom becomes a real issue for young people. So some people do want to get away from this state because they don't really want to get stuck in the digital environment. So in my interviews, I was fascinated that our young people did have many different ways to cope with these issues about being stuck, bored but stuck. First, somebody will have set regulations, like they will limit their screen time use. But how? Like they would install apps. I'm not sure whether you know there is some digital app that when you install in your phone, they will calculate the time you are using the phone. So if you are not using it, they will help you to plant a tree. So if you keep not using it, you will plant a lot of trees, and eventually, if it reaches certain amount, they will grow a real tree for you. Okay, so they install these apps or similar apps, or they will assign functions to different devices. Because, like for example, when they will decide that their mobile phones will only be used for digital games, but then they will use their computers to do serious stuff, meaning they do homework on their computers so that they don't install any different game apps or YouTube apps on their computers. But very sadly, it's not working, because some students told me that they feel really lazy to turn on a computer. So they don't even want to, because it will take a few minutes to, you turn on a computer and wait for everything to boot. But then it's so easy, just go back to the phones. And a few young people, okay, for your information, I've done 10 focus groups and only 2 young people told me that they quit. What did they quit? Okay, they just quit Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all these, not YouTube, just Instagram and Facebook, because, okay, for Facebook, they found it really for old people. And for Instagram, they didn't want to check out too often because they felt really trapped. Because whenever there is a notification, they feel obliged to reply if they still have the app. So they just quit, but only 2 of them. And quite a few people told me that they would try to get out of the state when they felt that they were stuck in the digital media by fasting forward. To me, it seems not to be really a good strategy because it feels really strange. You can just not watch. Why do you have to fast forward? But then they do. And they would, like, for example, they say for Korean dramas, because the pacing is sometimes really slow, so they will use 2 times or 4 times speed to fast forward so that they can watch faster. And then I was really puzzled, and I asked, but it's about love, normally romance drama. So if this is really slow pacing, it's normally about love. And they said, okay, they speak too slow. I still can figure out how they get along eventually, even with 4 times speed. And finally, some students told me that they would do something else. What do they mean? They would go jogging, they would play guitar, they learn to take care of plants, and they do cooking, many interesting things. But then the sad thing is that, say, for example, when they jog, they always have to wear their headset. So they are still online. They are still using different music streaming platforms for the music. And when they learn to play guitar, they go to YouTube. When they want to take care of plants, they go to ask AI how to make sure that your plants don't die. So whatever they want to do, even though they want to do something else, they found that they are being drawn back to the digital platforms once again. So here, the dilemma is that everybody feels that they are stuck. In my research, of course, I also came across young people who aspire to become online media creators, and they did have their own channels, but just one or two. But for the most young people I interviewed, they felt that it's very difficult to get really bored because they always have something at their fingertip. They can just go to their phones, their tablets, and their computers for something interesting or amusing. And then there is never a shortage of supply of information and entertainment, and then even education, because if they really want to learn something, they can just go online to learn it. And it's so easy, this is so quick, and they feel that they never have a moment of solitude. They never really get bored because this is a very friendly environment that always want more attention from them. But then this is exactly this constant attention and distraction that many young people realize that they are bored after all. Because even though our superficial boredom is addressed efficiently by all these devices, when they look back, they can easily loop their phones for hours and hours and hours. They may check out OneNote, YouTube, TikTok, never stopping, and then the time is always filled up by something new and something interesting, more interesting than their own lives. And so when looking back, they feel that they have spent a few hours or doing nothing. They could not recall what they have really done. So it comes back to my original, when I first started all my research in media and education, our concern is about how to enable young people or the next generations have a better life. So what literacies really matter if we have a clearer look of the life state, the life road they are having. If people are feeling stuck, and then it means that they don't find meanings, because boredom is always closely related to a sense of meanings. If you feel that you are doing something really meaningful, you don't feel bored, like you, okay? So you're not bored, I assume, because I think I'm sharing something meaningful. And for young people, how to achieve digital well-being, how to acquire the ability to cope with the side effects of this permanent communication overabundance, over consumption, and also multitasking. I think this is a tough question for everybody, for educators and for researchers who care to make some changes to the digital environment our young people as well as we ourselves face today. So thank you very much again for having me today, and thank you.
Thank you so much. We should take 5 minutes break.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. I can just stand. I can just stand. Yeah. Yeah, because usually in the classroom I stand. So could you get used to stand? Okay, first of all, thanks so much for Posadly for inviting me to moderate this sections. that also very honored to have this opportunity to have two distinguished speakers to present their understanding of some of the latest finding about the Chinese youth in the digital transformation. So as a moderator, I just want to just have a very quick uh, brief uh, discussion, a summary of the two speakers, what their main argument, and then I try to see how my area of understanding in my area and how to engage with the work. Professor Lee introduced a term that basically first time I heard about is, but basically I need to cite Xi Jinping. He coined the word emerging youth group, which is based on my understanding is the way how the younger generation take advantage of and enabled by the decentralized, individualized digital space to create a new environment to engage in working environment. And Professor Lee argued there's a new value that created and basically adapted to a more flexible working environment, creating new opportunity. And you can see offline, online, different types of culture. And Professor Chi draw on her research about focus group in the past years about media literacy, digital literacy, and AI literacy, and put forward the idea about digital boredom, and which is a very interesting observation that to summarize based on a lot of also my observation about the younger generation, including my kids, they also had this kinds of way how to deal with so many choices of when they engage in digital environment. I just want to kickstart the discussion first by asking both speaker questions, and then I open the floor for the others to jump in and then contribute your views. And as a social scientist, I believe many of you also are here. When we observe new phenomenon, like we're seeing emerging young group, new value, digital boredom, we'll usually ask the question, why and under what circumstances and context this kind of observation are based on? What kinds of socio-political background that things happen? So I want to draw on this and basically ask both speaker a question. So Professor Lee, but for example, you mentioned about this new values. So I'm curious, it's just a way basically this guy really created by the digital transformation, or basically it's actually its way to try to respond to the new normal in the society, the new economic environment in society. As we know, in the past few years, especially, they are more difficult than before to find job in the job market. Unemployment rate are reportedly higher than before, and it would I say this kind of new value not really is just an outcome of the digital transformation, but actually is the way to try to respond to the new environment. Seriously, the younger kid, they don't want to get into foreign enterprise that basically get a permanent job. This is something I'm puzzled. For Professor Ju, and I like the idea of the digital boredom, but at the same time, I heard this is another term that describe the younger generation, but in the not entirely similar way, but they will talk about, especially in mainland China, they call it the lying fat. And it's basically, it's also a kind of response to the net of opportunities, running out of pathway to have social mobility, that basically they finding no opportunity, and then they find that, and as a result to many ways. And digital basically become a good way for them to like that. So I would wonder your take on this, how this related to your research and how you related all this digital respond of all this. Okay, so that's my just a quick response, and I'm happy to know the two distinguished speakers there. Your take. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor, to your comments and questions. Because my English, sorry, my English is not very fluent to answer question quickly in English. I will answer question in Chinese. Is okay? Okay.谢谢啊，副教授，他的这个问题也是很重要的问题。新兴青年群体，实际上是政府部门提出来的一个词，关注的这样的一个群体。但是我们的研究也反映出这个群体，代表了年轻人他的新的这种价值观的变迁的一个方向，在数字化时代，在快速变迁的时代。我们开始这个研究这个群体，它发展很快，是在疫情之前。当时中国的经济环境，国内经济环境还比较好，很多年轻人他们更愿意按照自己的兴趣去做他们想做的事情。确实在疫情以来，经济受到冲击比较大。那么实际上，目前现在这个群体实际上是处于一个矛盾当中。一方面，他们的价值观，他们想做的事情，是想脱离传统的工作方式，要自由，要快乐，要按照自己的兴趣去做他们想做的事情。但另一方面，经济的压力又迫使他们考虑，也要考虑到生存、安稳、安定、稳定这些因素。所以呢，确实这个群体在现在的状况是有一点受到冲击。同时，
Hello. Yeah, thank you. So Professor Lee mentions that the emerging youth group is a term first suggested by the government, but their study does confirm that this group has a shifting new values. They're facing a paradox that on the one hand, they are trying to do something different from the traditional working patterns and working values. But on the other hand, they are forced by economic pressure to conform to society demands. Yeah, thank you.
在现在这个情况下，我们就发现新兴青年群体，或者是做这个灵活就业、自由职业的这些年轻人，他变成两部分，一部分是属于主动的选择去做这种喜欢的这些职业，一种新兴的职业，新的自由的工作方式。但是另一部分有一些是被迫的，是因为他们稳定的工作找不到，或者是从原来稳定的工作失业了，迫使他们进入了现在这个领域。那么这部分人呢，可能在价值观念上未必代表新的方向。可是呢，现在这个群体还是一个在那人数越来越多，在那发展过程当中，而且新的技术的发展给他们创造了一些新的条件，是这个年轻的群体去适应新的经济，有很多新兴的职业，原来我们都没有听说过的很多的，特别是生活服务业的这个领域，随着生活方式的这个变化，现在很多新兴的创新的职业是这些年轻人在那创新，所以这个群体特别引起国家的关注，一个是他们的价值观念需要去重视。另外一个就是说，他们对新兴经济的这种推动的作用，他们的创新性也引起这个社会的关注。这个群体还有一个特征，就是说他们都非常善于利用新技术和网络技术，在社会上、在媒体上影响特别大。比如说像小红书上面很多的这些年轻人。就属于新兴青年群体，他们非常的活跃，影响非常的大。
Okay, two groups of emerging youth groups. One is more actively engaging in the new digital transformation era, and another is more passive. And the latter group, they don't necessarily reflect the changing values. But what's common is that the most emerging group people, they're very good at in adapting to the new technology, using new platforms to engage in innovative economy.
Thank you for the questions. And I think it will take a lot of time to really go into the details of my research in the past 10 years or so. But then I think lying flat is something really recent, not so maybe 躺平, it's not so recent in my own studies. But then I also observe similar trends and similar wishes expressed by young people from time to time. But then to be honest, I feel the main issue is not so much about they want to lie flat, but they don't find the meanings, or they don't find what they really want to pursue in their lives. So the issue of digital boredom to me is that because they feel bored, so they go to the digital media, and then they are not bored. And because they are not bored, so they stay in the digital platform. So they continue to stay in the platform, and eventually they feel stuck. So this is basically what I want to argue. And I think this is a dilemma, because when they spend a lot of time in the digital environment, they do not have time to ask what they really want to know, or what they really want to pursue. And they feel that because whenever they have something they want to do, they are still stuck in the digital media platform. So the whole issue is not about whether they are motivated in life or not, but then they feel that they don't have the space or the opportunities to really explore beyond the digital media environment. So, and I think it has a lot to do with my own passion or concerns about the well-being of the young people. And I think all research is informed by these, personal agendas in the very beginning, and eventually bring me to this discussion of digital boredom.
Okay, thanks so much for your feedback. Okay, so maybe I want to see if the floor have any question or comment that you want to contribute to the discussion, or you have any question you want to ask the two speakers about the research. So can you pass the microphone to that ladies?
Thanks for sharing. I have a quick question for Professor Lee, because Professor Lee just mentioned there are 3 categories on her research, like the internet savvy cultural use, freelance cultural artistic use, and new service model use discovered in your research. I found. Oh, sure. So you found like 3 different categories. One is 网络文化青年、读艺文艺青年, and like 生活新业态青年. I don't. When I kind of like rethink about it in my own experiences, I found like I wonder if these 3 categories actually mutually exclusive to each other. I mean, can they be both like internet savvy cultural use and be like at the same time they can also be like the new service model use? I mean, are this category has something overlap, or yeah, that's basically a very simple question.
Yeah. I understand your question.
Okay.
这3类群体根据我那个坐标图来划分的话，不会是交叉的。实际上我们区分了2个领域 sectors 行业领域，一个是属于文化领域的，就是那个坐标图的上面是文化领域的，一个坐标图的下半部分是服务领域，尤其是生活服务的这个领域，所以他们的领域是不一样的。但是你要从个人来说，可能你是一个既做这个领域或者做那个领域，这个是有的啊。对，但是从我们分的这个大类来说，它是没有交叉的。个人的领域，特别是新兴青年群体，我刚才提到的叫斜杠青年 /youth， 经常他们是跨领域去做兼职，而且有些特别是经济不好的情况下，他们原来是新兴青年， 就说自己做自己感兴趣的事情。但是经济不好了，他必须找份工作，他去做的那个工作，是为了他的生活。可是他除了那个工作以外，他有自己的兴趣，他又去做另外一个事情。这个在新兴青年当中非常的多。这个是从一个人个人身上是有可能交叉，但是从这个分类上是分文化领域和生活领域，然后再分他们是主要依托于线上还是线下，尤其是在文化领域。年轻人有一部分是，比如说自媒体的人，年轻人他们主要是在线上的，但是很多艺术家，特别是小剧场的演员，在北京、上海很大一个群体，他们主要是靠线下，所以线上线下和生活领域还是文化领域这样的区分不同的新兴青年的群体，我们是按照它这样的一个分类。所以这个是一个研究的技术性的问题。谢谢你的问题。
So in terms, yeah, I just put it simple. In terms of theoretical construction, the four types of emerging youth groups, they are mutually exclusive, depending on whether they're offline or online, or their fields are cultural or for their economic life. But in terms at a personal level, though, people, especially the so-called slash youth, 斜杠青年, they usually cross different fields, and they can be different types at the same time. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for Professor sharing. I'm the student from the Hong Kong Business School student. So I have a question for Professor Chu. You mentioned a very interesting situation that the burden of young people. I very agree that we feel many times we feel very boring, so we need a different platform. But after all, when I spend many times watching the video on platform, I will feel a sense of boring and meaningless. Also, sometimes I will feel a sense of anxious. So I just wondering, do you have any suggestion or advice? How can I just cope with those dilemmas? Because I can't leave out the platform. I can't use the platform to do many things, even learning some knowledge and get some happiness. But yeah, I just feel a sense of anxious because I'm wasting many times. Yeah, in those platform. Yeah, thanks.
I don't think I can provide a quick fix here. And in fact, I have been doing a lot of interventions in terms of education because when I was introduced just now, I have a social enterprise specializing in media and information literacy. And one of my strategies to sell to young people is to do meditation and to do mindfulness. Yes, so I think this is a very difficult situation because even adults, I can see many parents, when they are babysitting their kids, they keep looping their phones, even pushing the baby trolley into the road. And I always feel so bothered because it seems that all of us are really stuck. And I think mindfulness is really a way because when we are mindful of what we are doing, you will not be stuck. But if you are not mindful, because this is like a continuous stream, you just stay there and then it will take you to many different places. Like when you are checking out one thing, they will suggest another thing. Because like when I interview the young people, they will tell me that, oh, the algorithm is such a good thing because they always know what I want to watch and they keep feeding me. And to me, I feel this is really bothering to me if they keep sending me things that they think I like. But for some of the young people, they feel this is really handy. And so I think this is a question of mindfulness. If they are very mindful and aware that it is a calculation or this is something that is targeting to steal their attention, I think it will be better. And I hope after today's sharing, you will become more mindful and then you already feel less anxious.
The lady.
So thank you again. I'm a PhD student from the social work department, doing research related to young people living with HIV/AIDS. We know like this stigmatized population, because they don't have much interaction with the mainstream society. They are more susceptible to the influence of media and internet. So I want to echo about the contents provided by Professor Chu about the new media versus old media, because I'm thinking like stereotypes and fear related to HIV were created by old media, but young people living with HIV/AIDS, they have started to fight against this kind of old images via new media. But this also brings them considerable controversy. Going to the next question about like to participate or not. But like quit also means they lost their voices online. So I'm curious about like, are there any academic studies focusing on marginalized young population? And I'm wondering, are there any suggestions from academia? How can we leverage the media, not serve the general youth, but also let the marginalized population, young population, also integrate into the society? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think this question might, I think Professor Fu will have more to say, but I can say a few words first. I think there are many studies regarding new media and also social media activism and also subaltern groups. Obviously, there are many benefits brought by the participatory culture celebrated by the internet, because instead of being dominated by some huge media organizations or the so-called old media, people can organize themselves in the media to speak up. And I'm sure that for these people, it is really useful and very helpful to get their voices heard and also to express themselves. So, but today in my sharing, I think I'm more concerned about the people who do not have particular agendas to pursue. And so they're really ordinary. They feel that they don't have much to say and they don't have much to express, and they are just using the media in a very mundane manner. So I think this is a very different scenario. But then you are right. In the for like 2 decades, people have been really optimistic about the potential brought by this rising internet culture, when more people can share their different life conditions.
I mean, you just quickly supplement Professor G's answer. And basically, this is where I come from. I engage with the literature, basically talk more about in the way how they react to the more restricted environment. So I think 2 sets of literature that you may visit that might be relevant to your question. First is digital citizenship. Literature basically already for decades to see how younger people to take advantage of the digital environment to try to engage with the society, building up the identity, building up community, and try to engage and civically and respond to different types of environment. So of course, the literature that you find in the Western society basically not completely different from what basically in China. China is more like a more regulated media and landscape, and also has a very strong state media environment, and also the had completely different government structures. And another set of literature that you can visit is also in the Western literature called counter-public literatures. You talk about digital environment, how to help those marginalized alternative voice, how to build up and give them the opportunity to build up a community, engage with the like-minded people, and then to counter the mainstream idea. That basically this is also habit. But again, in China or even in Hong Kong, basically this kind of counter-public literature, it should be localized and contextualized. Thank you.
Well, I'm mindful about the time. Probably we need to move to the second. I need to be very short. I have two questions, and one for Professor Lee, one for Professor Zhu. But before that, congratulations for two excellent presentations, really complement each other. The question for Professor Lee is, in one of your early slides, you talk about this as many as 200 million people belong to so-called flexible employment. Do you refer to that as the age group? If so, what's the age group? And also, what's the number for the fixed employment in that age group? My real question is, this is related with the 20% also about the unemployment among young people, how that flexible group may affect that the number could be misleading. Could you comment on that? This is my question. The second question for Professor Zhu is related with the student mentioned about the anxious, but my question is about depression, because it's a global phenomenon in United States, in other Western or Asian country, also including China, with the rise of the digital device and increased the depression. So my question is for your concept of board, whether this is the way to prevent depression, or this may be itself is a part of depression. Could you comment on that, the conceptual, the definition? And okay, these are two questions. Thank you.
年轻人的这个现在灵活就业占的比例，目前没有特别准确的数据，200万的这个灵活就业的数据，2亿，哎，对，2亿，这个灵活就业数据是国家统计局公布的全国的那个数据，那是2021年。应该到现在，应该这个数字往上涨了。确实是因为大量的这个经济不好嘛，会有很多人被挤到灵活就业群体。那么年轻人里面这个比例是上升的，肯定是上升的。但是中国目前年轻人口的这个就业情况有一个特殊性，就是政府采取的一个政策是把大量的年轻人留在学校。因为高等教育扩张，本科扩招，研究生扩招，博士扩招，加上最近的就说985高校扩招，还有就是这个扩大2学历比例，就是本科毕业生他如果找工作不顺利，可以继续到学校再读一个2学历，这一些呢就使得中国的年轻人，比如说00后。这个群体在校生的比例占了很大的比例，这是中国年轻人现在的状况，跟国际上比，现在在校生的比例是超过美国、欧洲，所以这个是一个解决就业的一个政策。那灵活就业的这一部分年轻人呢，现在很多是他在那继续考研究生或者考公务员。同时，他又做一些临时的事情，所以这个边界很难去区分，这样准确的数据就很少。但是年轻人现在的状况确实是，一方面拼命要进体制内就业，另一方面是大量的人是在继续考证啊、学习啊，继续弄那个准确的数据缺乏，目前是这样的一个状况。
So we don't have the exact number for youth in flexible employment. But one trend we can see in China is that many are still many remain in schools and in university pursuing second degree or higher degree. So that's one distinction that makes Chinese youth different from other countries. Yeah.
And for the definition, boredom, of course, there are many debates about how it should be defined, but generally speaking, common sense speaking, boredom refers to a state of feeling unpleasant, unengaged, uninterested, and you want to get when you want to escape, but then you cannot get away from the situation. And honestly, I think boredom is a good thing sometimes. And to me, I like to enjoy boredom. I think it's okay to be bored. because when you are bored, you can be more creative sometimes, according to some literature. You do not have to fill up all the time in order to live fully. You need to have some short breaks. So in a way, I think if people can embrace boredom without reverting to any digital device, it might be a solution or response to the issue of mental health issue. Because in my current research, I'm actually researching about appearance anxiety and also digital media use, because I'm working with a group of young people who claim that they have an appearance anxiety. But this is really a subjective feeling. They feel that they have this, but then of course they do some surveys and it seems that they are high in the scale. But then back to the, when I really work with them, I feel that they might be only feeling bored and depressed, and so they feel anxious about many different things. So I think for me, boredom can be a solution, but if we don't really look at this in this way, it might be just a state and for people to feel anxious.
In the interest of time, so you would have the break right now. But I understand there's a couple of more questions that maybe you can engage with the speaker during the break. Okay. Anyway, thanks so much for your time. Okay.
Thank you.
So the panel discussion will begin in 1 minute. Please sit, and we'll resume our session very soon.
Okay, because of the time, maybe let's just get started. Welcome to our panel discussion. So our first speaker is Lu Yajun. Yeah, Yajun. She is currently the Dean of the Bilibili Research Institute of Public Policy and assistant to the CEO. I understand that each speaker has like 8 to 10 minutes. So yeah, because we are already behind schedule, so I'll just stop here. A very brief introduction of our speakers. If you want to know more about them, their background, you can check online. All right. So yeah, Jean, please go ahead. It doesn't. This one.
Does it work just now? Okay, first of all, thanks for Professor Lee inviting me to come to HKU. Well, this is my first time to share my views representing Bilibili. I guess most of you are the users, right? Hands up, please. Yeah, thank you. And many people think Bilibili is a very young, very new company, but actually we established it before iQIYI and also Weibo. And until this year, we're 16 years old. So I think understanding digital Gen Z is the precondition to implement our national policy, especially politics and economy and social. And I like to interpret this generation using a sociology view. So well, in about 10 minutes, I will introduce Bilibili to you from the point of view as our platform. And many of you agree, and some of you may not disagree, and we will communicate later. Okay. So, yeah, welcome to our planet. Well, Bilibili is a leading video community for young generations in China, but actually our users interpret rate is higher in Hong Kong and Macau than the mainland. And nowadays, the daily active users amounts to 1.02 billion. And our monthly users are 3.4 million. And how we define the digital Gen Z in China, actually we use the, the age group of 18 to 35, credit to by the CINIC, which is the national government institution, and publish the young users every year. And on our platform, the users accounts for 78%. And the Gen Z China, as the several speakers mentioned before, is the driving force behind China's video-based industry. And the Gen Z contribution to China's video-based industry revenue amounts to 64% by 2025, which is from the iResearch, yeah. And this is the background and characteristic about Gen Z in China. And I conclude from 6 factors, and they are well educated. I guess most of you are, get the higher education, and they are affluent family background due to the opening and reform policy. And I think you went through the main technical turning point in the past 2 decades. First iPhone, MR, and until the DeepSeek this year. So you're naturally sensitive to tech. So you are tech and digital native. And from the cultural side, we are culturally informed, as the professor mentioned. We focus on the cultural literacy education, and you are willing to express yourself online, but isolated offline, right? And you appreciate and are willing to pay for quality content. So Bilibili is the most popular app among Chinese young generation, and we rank, we have consecutively for 3 years. Now, as the platform, what we did right? What's something right we did? We have fostered a highly engaged and loyal community. And average daily time spent per user is 99 minutes. The first is Douyin, and the 102 minutes, I guess. And one unique for Bilibili is our 1-year retention rate of facial members amounts to 80%. And one more figure I want to share is the 10-decade user retention rate is 64%, unlike other platforms. Yeah, this I guess you are very familiar with the Bali chat, which originated from Bilibili. And we release the annual Bali chat every end of the year. And this is the 2-year circuit is elegant, 优雅. And I guess you are familiar with YYDS, 永远的神, and Ye Qinghui also come from our platform. And Lei Jun, I think most young, he has a lot of young fans, although he's kind of in trouble these days. Yeah. So we have different callings for KOL on different platforms, and on Bilibili we call it UPS, which stands for uploaders. And one more question: do you know what does Bilibili stand for? How does this name come from? It's from cartoon. Yeah, it's from cartoon, and it's a sound of kind of magic. Is an electric sound of electric, and it echoes the essence of internet, which is connecting all together, 连接一切。事实上，它是一个电流的声音。So up stands for uploader, very simple, but later we think it represents the spirit of Chinese young generation. So we keeps ups for our KOL callings, and other platform they called 网红 or 达人, but I think up is a better name. So actually our ecosystem is divided into two parts. One part is the PUGV, which is professional user generated video, and they are all created by our apps. And the PUGV video views out of total views, 95%, and other 5% is credit to another part I will introduce later on. And yeah, app has become synonymous with high quality content creators. And this group of apps is amounted to 308 million. And the number of videos they created amounts to 70.6 million. I think you have your own favorite apps on your list, right? And this is the ecosystem of a content creation, which I think it is upward. And you see, Up creates high quality videos, and many users complain they want to become Ups, and they complain to me that we have a high standard for video contents. Yes, so you have to have patience. And high quality videos continue to attract followers, which have a great taste for professional content. You see many teachers and students use Bilibili as your learning tools at your study platform. That is why we keep on producing high quality content. And then followers motivate us to create more high quality content. Users on Bilibili platform have professional views and comments, which is obviously how to say superior to other platform. So we have a strong connection between the creators and users. So this is kind of the triangle circulation, and they continuously drives the community forward. So, and now we have evolved into a welcoming home for popular culture and diverse interests. You can see we have over 7,000 interest groups. I think it echoes the theory of long tail. You can find anything you like, anything you want on this platform, no matter how small or unique it is. And we have, you see, 2 billion cultural tags, which is large tags. Yeah. So it's like small planets on the whole of a big planet. And another part is of a Bilibili products, which is OGV. It means organization generated video, which is similar to iQIYI, Youku, and Tengxun. So we produce, you can see videos and no, not this part. We can see we produce anime, documentary, TV show, and a variety show. Actually, I'm a big fan for documentary. That is why I started explore on Bilibili. And but Bilibili starts from the anime, which is ACGN. Many people Bilibili starts from introducing the Japanese animation, but now we have produced our own cultural animation, and the amount is over the introduction. Yes. Well, this is made by Bilibili, and we are created to develop in the Chinese animation industry. And some of the animations have topped in the overseas market. And now we have produced and invested a total of 661 Chinese animes and over 70 million users active on platform. So I think you have watched the Three Body, although it has some controversy over this IP. Actually, Three Body is a kind of area of IP, and we got this IP intellectual property, and we produce with how to say the premium animation producer, and it is the first global science cartoon. And as I mentioned, documentary, we have vast variety of documentary, no matter natural history and science and culture. We want to produce documentaries only for young people. So we have barbecue, like 人生一串, and it ranked 3 for many of years. And we are the first platform win a prize for documentary in internet industry. And also we're to produce and co-produce and license with top foreign documentaries to learn from them. Yeah. And the pictures actually is very, how to say, it's a high cost but a low return category. But we think it is the main part of ecosystem. Now we have expanded to new territory to cater ever growing user interest, and live events, esports, and our offline events. I think you are so crazy about every New Year's Eve gala, and it has become a well-known brand for the most understanding Chinese young people gala, and it beats a lot of televisions. And this Bilibili Microlink live concert has become a new brand for Shanghai Metropolitan. And every summer, the global young people will come to get together and celebrate. And also BW, which is known as Bilibili World, is the China's largest expo, also in Shanghai, and it brings a lot of revenue for Shanghai. And also esport. I think esport is the Olympics for young people, and it is how to say which are Asian young people good at, but it has international fans over the world. And this is the milestone for our development. So the time is tipping up. So I will connect with you later in the coming upwards. Okay, thank you.
Professor Gong Shun
Okay.
from Institute of Sociology, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. So he's going to share his research about it's that's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Tian, for your introduction, and thank you, Professor Li Cheng, to having us here today. This is the kind of think tank, I think, very similar to our institute, our CAS. So we think very much hardly to put forward something or some information about our study, which related to think tanks or the social policy implication. So today, I would like to show my recent but really simple study about Chinese young people's attitude toward AI. Actually, I focus mainly on 2 questions. First of all, as I mentioned, their attitude. I mean, how Chinese young people think about or accept the AI.
And secondly, I want to analyze why this happened, and I want to find some mechanism or some analyze for the phenomenon. Okay, I use the data in this analyze. This is actually a data called a national survey on Chinese cultural development study. In Chinese, we call 中国文化发展调查. This survey was conducted just after the rise and the popular of DeepSeek in China. We conducted this survey in March and April this year. As you know, the DeepSeek become popular just before February this year. Okay, we have actually collected about 10,000 respondents. Among this, we have about 5,000 young people who answered these questions. Actually, when I called them young people, it is the people who aged about 8 to 44 to 44. Okay, let's take a brief look at the general attitude of Chinese youth toward AI. I would like to share two information. First, I think due to the popular of DeepSeek, of the China's DeepSeek the rise, we found actually about 80% of the young people, of the young Chinese people say they have used the AI in the last month, at least a few times in the last month. That's a lot, right? So the second point, which I think is very interesting, is that when we ask how much threat you think the AI will bring to your jobs, many people, about 64.1% of the young people say that the AI will bring some threat to their jobs. Even half of them think the DeepSeek or other AI will replace their job in the future. However, what is interesting is when we ask deeper about their attitude, should China put much effort to develop the AI, to develop AI models? We found about 74% of the young adults say they will agree that China should develop the AI as soon as possible. Only about 6% of the young people disagree that China should develop the AI as soon as possible. This is very kind of interesting, right? So you think for Chinese young people, they think that AI will bring threat to their jobs, or bring some threat to their life conditions. However, they still suppose that their government or Chinese government should put much effort into the development of AI. So how to explain it? I think of course the propaganda or the advocacy of DeepSeek by Chinese government is a very important reason or expect why this phenomenon happens. But when we when we ask or interviewed the friends around us, I think one more important reason is very much related to kind of Chinese youth political ideology. We think that in Chinese traditional culture, we have 天下国家 the 天下国家, which means many Chinese young adults will take their country's interest more important than their own. But I'm kind of feel surprising, because if you want to explain this phenomenon, like as a technology have all I actually study about the immigration, like xenophobia attitude or something. We have some sociologists always explain from some. Okay, I've finished as soon as possible. When we say, when we explain people's attitude toward the outside group or toward the technology, they are always like a economic threat theory or something. But when you look at the phenomena about the Chinese young people's attitude toward the new technology, that's it kind of interesting because they take the more how to say their country's interest more important than their self interest. I think this will on one hand it's a very interesting phenomenon. On the other hand, I think this will provide a very good social foundation for China to develop the AI in the future. Okay, due to time limitation, I will stop here and thank you very much.
Speaker is Li Chuang. He's an assistant researcher at Institute of Sociology, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. So I think he's going to share with us a very, very interesting topic.
Test. Yeah, I don't have any PowerPoint. No, it's that's fine. So hi everyone. I'm very honored to be here to share with you some most recent thoughts in my research, and it's actually not along the way of my older research. I used to look at sports subcultures, but we work in the same research team of the National Cultural Development Survey. So we also look at new cultural themes and phenomena in China. So this one is particularly about this the new Chinese traditional cultural themes. So basically, in recent years, I think Chinese traditional culture, in particular, the Chinese mythologies, has emerged as a vibrant source for digital storytelling and content creation. According to our National Cultural Development Survey conducted at our institute, 81% of respondents expressed strong interest in traditional culture, with this figure rising to over 85% among post-90s and post-2000 youth cohorts. Nearly 78% believe that innovation is essential to its continued vitality. Yet, more than 72% reported difficulty in finding the top level, the world-class level innovative cultural content that aligns with this expectation. But I think there are two notable exceptions that stood out in the past year. The one is the Black Myth Wukong, an action role-playing game based on the Journey to the West, and Ne Zha 2, an animation film reimagining the rebellious boy god from the investiture of the gods. Both works have generated significant cultural attention. Ne Zha 2 topped global box office charts in various aspects. Black Myth Wukong is widely recognized as China's first AAA level video game that have not only resonated with domestic audiences but also attracted global interest, suggesting a new potential for the Chinese traditional IP in the digital age. Because of the time limit, I think I'll just jump to my conclusion, so I'll stop whenever. I think my research question is, what makes these cases especially interesting? It's not the novelty of their source material. On the contrary, Journey to the West and Investiture of the Gods have been adapted repeatedly in recent decades, spawning countless games, animations, and films. And most of these attempts have struggled to resonate as much as the two case studies that I'm using here, especially with younger generations, or failed to gain traction in the international markets. So why these two? Why do Black Myth Wukong and Naja 2 succeed when, while so many others drawing the same mythological canon have failed to engage, inspire, or travel beyond domestic viewership? And I drew on the cultural materialist perspective, and I think my argument is that there is a cultural mechanism deeply at play. That is like more like an upward spiral that starts with high-level content formats. So only with the format such as AAA games and world-class animated films, you get to demand more advanced technology. And technological innovation in return strengthens the industry capacity. Industrial upgrading in turn enables deeper and more diverse forms of cultural articulation. So this upward spiral, and I'm a sociologist, though, I think there's also one element missing, which is the people. It's always the people that actually activate this. That's like a needle threading all the elements together. It's by the talent and the passion of the talent teams. So both works you can see very, very good documentary films on Bilibili about the lead producers of both works. So now I'll expand to each point. Hopefully I have some time left. So the first one is reimagining tradition. Take Black Myth Wukong as an example. It re-articulated the mythic narratives through new experiential format. In particular, it translates Journey to the West into an interactive space of symbolic embodiment, where the narrative is not merely told but enacted. Such digital works are not just containers of traditional stories, they actively materialize cultural meaning through gameplay mechanisms, which is the ARPG, action role-playing game, environmental design, and symbolic systems that reshape how audiences encounter tradition in sensory and embodied ways. In this way, traditional narratives are not simply preserved, they're reconstructed, reactivated, and re-experienced within the material affordances of digital formats. And the second perspective is the technological infrastructure. Naja 2, for example, involved over 130 animation studios that used to work with Hollywood big corporations and created thousands of VFX shots. And Black Myth Wukong, often described as the first true Chinese AAA game, uses Unreal Engine 5, spatial scanning of historical sites, and advanced cinematic rendering, working along with top image rendering corporations. 因为它英文什么来突然忘了？OK， 因为的 so sorry, I just the word skipped in my mind. So all of this technological innovation transformed this literary imagination into immersive, operable experiences. And the third one is the industrial dynamics. Black Myth Wukong exemplifies a new model of cultural production in China. The small creative teams operating within high industrialized pipelines, developed by Game Science, a mid-sized studio. The game coordinated cinematic pre-visualization, motion capture, and publishing platforms at a AAA level, all because of both the technological, industrial, and talent foundations based around the perhaps after 2 decades of development, especially in the smartphone gaming industry. Nowadays, when iPhone publish new models of their technology, they very often showcase the new engines, the new GPU power with Chinese mobile gaming products. And last but not least, the talent and craft. The talent driving these projects challenges the conventional models of professionalization. Rather, neither of the lead creators comes from a traditional background in filming or gaming. Their success derives not from the credentialism, but from the fusion of interdisciplinary learning, a passion for cultural roots, and a craftsman-like dedication to quality. These stories highlight how meaningful innovation often emerges from non-linear youth development paths and sustained cultural investment. So I think, so in conclusion, I think both works demonstrate this, the new patterns and new mechanisms of cultural production in China. And thank you very much.
Very much, Li Chuang. So our last speaker of this panel is Xu You Jiangyu. Yeah, he's a PhD candidate in sociology at the University of Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Yeah, he is going to share with us his study about the construction and deconstruction of youth culture in China.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's very glad to standing here, and I'm also the one of team member of our research team from CAS, and we are study on youth studies, and I'm in charge of youth and three professor in charge of study. So today I will bring some more young content to all of you, and when we're talking, communicate with each other, we are not only use language, right? We use our tone, body language, and facial expression. And when it's come to the digital world, like this is a really important tools for nowadays young generation is memes. Like in Chinese, it's more like a 表情包, something like that. And I bring you some no hurry to take picture. Next slide will be more valuable. These are some memes I collected from my students in the University of Chinese Academy of Social Science. And we can see there are a lot of strong emotion inside of these memes. Like maybe a little bit disrespectful, but you can understand the meaning back of this picture. And nowadays, young generation in China on social media, they are very like to use this kind of picture or maybe like something from cartoons, from something made by a celebrity, something they created by themselves, and it's kind of they call this phenomena being 玩抽象, literally translated by play abstract, but it's actually meaning you be quirky, be weird, be funny, but they are using some dramatic, extreme way to express their feeling, their emotion, their understanding, their opinion, and sometimes there are no logic, no reason, just suddenly bring up, and when it comes to us, I'll try to explain this using an academic way, and because our team is studying on Chinese youth values, and I try to bring this perspective to discover it. So I look specifically on my student in the college, and what kind of means they use during final weeks. You can see that this is the memes on their social media during final weeks. You can see it's very negative, very disparate, and some is kind of how do you say? I don't know English word, but in Chinese it kind of 阴阳怪气. Like most of them want the world to destroy it, right? And but interestingly, those students who post this on social media, they are actually the most hardworking student in the class. Right? This is really funny, and we can after some like short interview, not very formal academic interview, I noticed that they are trying to release their stress on the digital world, but this behavior will not affect their really their reality. They were never giving up hardworking. They are never giving up pursuing higher grades, higher performance, something like that. And not only in their daily life, on their academic work, on their performance, they will also do that to react some social big events. You might heard a lot, like in the previous content, we're talking about like TikTok refugee, and we mentioned a lot of time in the Xiaohongshu. In case of someone in this room don't know this story, I will bring it very briefly. Like when the United States administration tried to ban TikTok, and some TikTok are many TikTokers are discussing where we should go, where we should have fun. And so, one genius says we go to Chinese TikTok, but they go to Xiaohongshu because they go to wrong place. And when they come to Xiaohongshu, they don't know how to communicate with Chinese netizens. They don't know, wow, we just we just ran into a house. How can we communicate? And some genius from Chinese side says, show me your cat. Then the memes come out. They were all talking about the cat tax on the Xiaohongshu. Like if you're a foreigner, you're not Chinese, you come to Xiaohongshu, you should show your cat picture. And later, you can also, if you don't have cat, you can also show your dog picture or any other pet picture to show you are a nice guy, you love animals, so we can communicate friendly. And you can see on the corner, there is a cat tax certification that's made by Chinese netizens, some Xiaohongshu user from China. They create this new meme and replies to every time foreigner on Xiaohongshu show their cat picture. And also this image is very funny. This is like a colorful bag asking you which color your cat prefer, which means I will grab your cat, put it in the bag, and take to my home. Now your cat is my tag. Something like that. You can see they use these memes to communicate with each other beyond the language barrier and very efficient. Many foreigners are using Xiaohongshu, and they love this communication phenomena. And not only to this content, they also try to use memes to react to big events on the global event, something like that. We can see the picture, something like that. When DeepSeek come out, they don't have voice or channel to have very systematic way to say how I think about the AI future, about China and United States competition. They don't have that. They have a simple picture. Like before ChatGPT and Google Gemini, they have huge fight, and suddenly, welcome to DeepSeek. This is a user attitude towards this new technology come out. And also, the memes on the upper is about how Chinese and the Western youth think about this tariff wars between United States and China. And they use this way to express their attitudes, their opinions, their thinking, their idea on social media, and making social media become their way, their channel to bring out, claim their voice. And this is how nowadays the digital world, especially social media, working in young generation. Maybe it's very simple, but we can looking for those memes every time you can you find this picture others send you. You can try to think more deeper. How does this happen, and what's cultural difference, or what cultural embrace and other things behind this, and think more about that. And this, we can notice that for the student part, they are like separate from their real life and digital life. But when it comes to new things happen in the reality, they embrace their digital life and their real life. So in the future, what happened to this in this digital world when young generation have two like identity, two like social network, both on the real world and digital world. So that's what we are going to looking into in the future in a more academic way. And in the end, I will show some like happiness memes to everybody, and hope you have a great feeling, and wish you have a nice day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this very, very interesting, all the four talks, four presentations are all very, very interesting, and I think I've learned a lot. All right. So because of the limited time, so I will just respond very quickly. Take advantage of my position as the moderator to ask some questions for to each of you. So the first one, Yajun, thank you for introduction of Bilibili to us. Just from your observation, because Bilibili is such an important platform for Chinese youth. And going back to Professor Li Chunling's earlier talk, I wonder what are the main characteristics of youth culture and the youth value that you have observed on the platform. So that's my question. The second question to Professor Gong Shun. Very interesting. You mentioned the idea of 天下国家. So I wonder whether you have done any comparative study, like either with a youth group in other countries, or like other Eastern Asian country or Western country, or within the Chinese younger generation, different background, people from different background. Is it that youth from higher education background are more likely to hold this 天下国家 view, or because from the literature, we know that some of the working class, they actually resisted the use of new technology in history. So this phenomenon that you observed is very interesting. So I wonder whether we can do some comparison here. In Li Chuang's study about, this is the new, the Chinese like game or movie that was exported to other countries. Very interesting, because I have been doing studies about online fiction in China for over a decade. So in the beginning, there were some interest in those online fiction in China, especially those fantasy fictions. So those some of the fantasy fiction were harshly criticized in China, and is including the TV dramas that made based on those fictions. But over time, we see that the interest and the popularity of those Chinese online fiction and those TV drama, Chinese TV dramas, increased rapidly in the overseas domain. I wouldn't say market, because especially in the earlier years, many of those were voluntarily translated by some people who don't do it for free. So it's not even a market. So I wonder whether, like, your main argument is that this is because of the increasing technology and the production quality of Chinese products. But I wonder whether the timing also played a role here, like because of the popularity of and the increasing interest in Chinese cultural products. Actually, that has happened for a long time already. So the last one also very interesting, and it really shows their creativity and relating back to my first question about the culture, the youth culture. And it's very interesting that you observed that when it comes to private affairs, the young people tend to separate their creation on social media from their real life. But when it comes to like public affairs, it's a platform for them to express their views. So again, I wonder whether that's part of whether that's true in, because you only showed some examples, but I wonder like whether that's true in other phenomena as well. Like, is there a division between private versus public issues? And do you have any explanation to that if that's the case? Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you.
For your question. And as to the characteristic of the Chinese youth culture, I want to make it more specific. As every year I will do a research about the online online young users' mental situation, the changes, how does it change every year? And last year in our survey, I found a surprising result. That's from the ranks of the users user search. Every Bilibili user will tap in the keywords in the column and come up with the results. And so I make a rank about the statistics. And out of surprise, the first is about cruising. I guess why cruising? Because many people say, well, the Chinese young users, the youngsters are under great depression, great pressure, and they make a lot of anxiety. But why does it come with cruising? Then I found another, but the statistics is not open to the public. I found the reason why, and it comes with it's a good way to release anxiety. And as the speaker just finished the memes introduction, I think the Gen Z has a lot of, how to say, social currency. Pad is, cruising is, and science maybe is, but a lot of different ways. But they have their own social currency, maybe unlike the past generations, but they have their own lifestyle. Also include environmental protection, something like this. So as come back to the question, I think the characteristic of the Chinese youngsters and also global youngsters is diverse. Every year I will find the changes, the quick changes, the swift changes between the generation in these generations. And as to the culture, I think it is not that obvious, the changes like their mental situation. And as the speaker introduced Chinese cultural recognition, I think it's links with a background where how the era, because they are, as I say, they benefit from the opening and reform policy, and also they witness the rapid development of Chinese economy. So they are naturally they naturally have high recognition of the Chinese nation. And also, many of you have gone abroad to your further study, and you've seen the world. As uploader He Tongxue, I think many of you know him. And the first he knocks into the public view is he has a online connection with Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, and he represents the open-minded, the fluent English level, and also his unique view of the technology. That is, this is how Chinese young people now want to present to the world. So back to the culture, I think they are more diverse. So diverse may be the first keyword of the Gen Z or Gen Z's culture. And I think Chinese culture is part of that because they have natural recognition for this nation, for this country. And one more thing, I think they are kind of more, how to say, like running eggs. These days, I notice a new calling as running egg social communication, which means the young people want to keep a distance, not too far, not too close, but running egg is just right. So I think this is my observation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question, Professor Tian. I think it's a very important and interesting question, especially for sociologists. I actually I do think and believe that it's very important and to compare the attitude toward AI from different cultural background and from different the social background. Actually, when I take a look at the data, when we come to the specific use, or we can see how different education background will use the AI. They are much divided. For example, educated young people more likely to use the DeepSeek and other AI to increase their productivity. But for the less educated ones, they may more inclined to use it for entertainment or shopping or something. What I find is interesting is that but when they come to the attitude, everyone support. Even though some of the working class or even the middle class, they may feel that their jobs may be threatened by the big model that such as the AI or something. How to understand this? I actually during my PhD I have studied about the people's attitude toward globalization, toward immigration. What I find interesting is that the geopolitical reasons played a very important role toward the people's attitude toward the outside or toward the kind of technology. I think a kind of the AI for Chinese people, for Chinese young people, AI is not only technological problems, it's a kind of a geopolitical problems. And I think for why during our data we can find this kind of results, it's because on one hand, many Chinese people, especially after the came out of the ChatGPT, many Chinese people, I think even the Chinese government, they are very anxiety, they are very concerned about China's development of the slow in the development of AI. And at the same time, the ChatGPT, they are very, how to say, they just block Chinese users. We will actually be blocked. 1.4 billion people are blocked by the ChatGPT. So actually, for the one hand, I think most important why this kind of technological problem will become the geopolitical concerns is because Chinese people are really concerned, are really worried. They're worried they'll be slow in the development. And actually, just after the come of the DeepSeek, a lot of people think China have the future, right? Have the future for the AI. So many people they may think that even though our own benefit will be threatened by new technology like AI, but especially during the geopolitical competition between United States and China, and I think most of people, even though you don't look at the survey or something, I think most of Chinese people will support that their government should put much effort and put much energy to develop the AI as soon as possible. So the 天下国家 is just a kind of a mechanism or kind of because as sociologists we always find some cultural explanation or cultural reason to explain this. But I think 天下国家 is not relating to everything about the Chinese adults, China young people's attitude. But when the competition between United States and China, they trigger their kind of awareness, their kind of culture. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, okay. Well, thank you, Professor Tian, for your question. I think time is definitely a key component, even though I don't use it as the key element in my formula, but it's definitely like a background music to it. But with time, I look at it with a different perspective, because sometimes it's like a multiverse. Like sometimes it could go either way or a million other directions. So in my particular case, I found out in the gaming industry in the early, before the 2000s, we actually manufacture a lot of electronic parts in mainland China for the gaming industry. But then we took a big hit in the early 2000s because some social incidents. So the gaming industry kind of stopped and then kind of transformed towards the mobile gaming industry. So that became the main direction of development in the gaming industry in China. But so it's difficult to say. So in sociology, we look at this as more like a structure versus agency kind of like paradigm. And I think with the I'm not too familiar with the online fiction culture, but with the gaming, it's quite clear that it's only with all the say technological in the industrial and talent foundations and the infrastructures built along the way of the 2 decades of development of mobile gaming industry that we can actually activate all the elements together at a certain point of time. And then we have the key agents and key events such as the popularity of Black Mix Wukong and Naja 2. But then it goes with both sides of efforts with the structural kind of like infrastructure and individual agency. Yeah, and then that's
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify, what I meant is the timing is that because you mainly focused on the production and the supply side, but I think the demand for Chinese culture was also increasing in recent years. That might also play a role in this phenomenon that we observed.
Yeah, definitely. With all the games that are kind of like stack up to this certain point of time, I think that's also.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have time? All right. Thank you for the question. It's really great perspective, especially talking about the private sector and the public sector. But I will speak very fast because of time. and we did have some data analyzed before because we have the PS panel study of Chinese academic Chinese university student study, right? PSUS, we have this kind of data of class in the class. So we do some data analyze, but actually they have a change trend, has the trend that like the public sector like also has a separate way, but mostly young generation have their what I speak about big picture and the public sector online are more positive, and they remain their negative or critique opinion in the reality, and also more specific towards to local level. That's the first separation. And secondly, when it comes to private sector, then they are going to become vague learning also, because what I'm shared in today is about memes, the use, but actually the internet content, the social media content has affect their speaking and their writing. And nowadays, Chinese government released some policies to ask those social media platform to like create like the teenager mode to create more children and teenager friendly content, something like that. Because there are many teachers, they post online, say their students are writing their formal homework using some internet language, like writing their in their essay, say 家人们谁懂啊, something like that. So so it's not very like a binary like what they behave in private sector and different in the public sector is very complicated, and we use like this meme and all other study to dig more based on our data analyze. But due to today's time limit, we just share this part. Yeah.
Just one more thing to say. Your findings are very similar to my previous study about how young people post on WeChat movements. So I wrote this paper about the emergence of online civility on WeChat moments. Exactly the same thing. When it comes to their personal or private affairs, people tend to be reserved. So you cannot flaunt your success and that kind of thing. You know, that 炫耀, that's discouraged. But when it comes to public domains, the issues, you need to be 传播正能量, positive energy. And you have to reserve the negative comments to your private sectors, like to your close friends offline. Yeah, so it's actually very similar to my findings. That's why I find it particularly interesting. Sure.
I think positive energy is not, sorry, I think positive energy is so limited, but a platform we encourage to to enrich the implication of so-called positive energy. Anything make you happy, makes you positive, made you, made you powerful, made you encouraged. I think it is all about positive energy. It's not just connected with the nation, with the so-called the Communist Party or something like this. I think we should separate from the macro topics, national topics from the young people stand. And so on a platform, anything connected with happy or improvement, we call it positive energy. That is why we connect with the young people more closely. Thank you.
Okay, so now the floor is open. We have one, yeah, please. Just trying to.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Professor Li Chen for sharing this seminar information to me. I'm actually coincidentally in Hong Kong for another conference, and this morning I actually missed that opening ceremony. I'm here. I think it is more important. I have a question actually, because we are talking about Chinese youth in the digital transformation era. So I'm thinking that first of all, we should think about the difference between the digital environment for the Chinese youth, because I think it is different digital environment for Chinese youth and for the Western youth. So maybe the speakers can tell me what are the biggest difference between the digital environment for Chinese youth and the Western youth, and then consequently, what are the result of the consequences, or what are the impact of for example, for the different world views for Chinese youth compared with the Western youth. And also I noticed that we have platform here like Bilibili. We know that the platform architecture in China is really different for Chinese youth. So maybe to what extent or how these platform architecture might affect the worldview of Chinese youth compared with the foreign youth. Thank you. By the way, I'm Professor Cai Cuihong from Fudan University.
Professors have mentioned us, and I agree with your opinion that is the internet architecture somehow affects the digital environment for Chinese young users, because they I think it is overexposed to politics for China young people now, because every every great event they have to not voluntarily to care about politics, but they have to care about politics, and we have sometimes some mission to make them to care about that. I think it is not. It is over. I think at least I don't think it is not wrong, but it is over. I think we should give them not that we should not deliver this mission to the young people, but we can encourage them to care about what is the connection between, 两会 and young people, and then we care about the house price. That is a specific question for young people. How can I live? How can I have a well-being in this city? So I think we have to shoot some interpreters, actually, from the government and young people. There's a large gap between the digital environment, what is the government want the Chinese young people live in, and the real situation. I think that is a problem.
Actually, I want to add some information on my understanding about your question about what is the difference between the development of a digital age in China and in other countries. Actually, I want to focus on the consequences of for example, AI or some new technologies. I think what is very different and very important different between China and other countries. When we talk, for example, when we talk about social class or the impact of AI on social class, I think they are the kind of for China, they are always the government will play very important roles. For example, as Professor Li Chunling mentioned about the new emerged youth groups in China now, because of the gig economy and other platform economy, a lot of people they go to kind of non-regular jobs. For example, if this situation happened in the Western or in other countries, it's just become the maybe become the kind of their own way of their own way of choice. But in China, you can see last year, Chinese government have launched a new part called in Chinese 中央社会工作部. Actually, as we know from CAS, the Chinese government really put very important role and put very much emphasis on secure this on non-regular employment people's life, how say their welfare or other things. For example, after the 社会工作部 come up, every city, every part, they have their own part. So in conclusion, I think there will be a kind of tension between there always kind of tension between technology and people and social class. But I think in China, what is most important and most important character is the government always have play an important role. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. So I got a question for Crystal Wu. I was a heavy Bilibili
Can you
user.
speak louder?
I was a heavy Bilibili user before. I got a question regarding like the long-term criticize of like Bilibili abandoning its like original user in recent years after.
Yeah, we still cannot hear you.
Okay, so I got a question for like Bilibili in recent years has long been criticized for like abandoning its original users for
What
for
users?
its
For
abandoned
what?
from like its original users like in its recent years business strategy turn. Also like it faced the challenges to sustain its creators, which is the main force of the UGC content. Also like it also kind of experiences the content TikTokization. I feel like I personally feel like the content I browse in the Bilibili now more like the TikTok content rather than like the maybe 5 years ago like you presented on the commercial deck is all about like He Tongxue or like Ao Changzhang, this kind of like highly original content. I feel like I wanted to know if there is any official response or your personal critical reflection on this kind of issue as you are the professional key industry player in the field. And are the younger generation still your company's main focus? Like when you are kind of exploring this kind of platform transformation and platform monetization? Yeah, that's my question.
Well, first of all, I think in response to your question, I should not stand for the company because I'm not the CEO, but I want to explain. I want to explain the changes about Bilibili. A lot of users complain about the change about Bilibili, especially from the ACGN because we rooted in ACGN, right? Especially animation and the comics in a Japanese style. And a lot of young people say, well, Bilibili changed. They don't focus on ACGN. They lost their, how to say, the subculture, for young people. But I think it is not a strategy. It's not a strategy for a company. Actually, it's the changes for users' demand. You see, in 2020, we released our official short video about how long, and that is why more people know, oh, there is a platform called Bilibili. But it is not a strategy to, how to say, 获权 or to change our target audience. Actually, it is, I think, how to say, it is out of expectation. I just can say it is not out of expectation that we can, we are so small company compared with BAT, but we knocked into an influential industry. An influential industry is maybe your company is small, but it affect a lot of people. As we have 2.7 million young people in China, we account for 304 million. This high, so high rate, such high rate. So we inevitably, how to say, affect the value of young people. So we won't voluntarily to lead their taste, their how to say, their pursuit.
Even if you want to, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is,
because
it's so hard for me to explain this question, because I think this question is for CEO, not for me. So I can't speak more.
The
Thank
CEO
you.
will held a press session. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for a wonderful discussion today. Thank you all let's thank the presenters one more time for their wonderful contribution.